You've tuned in for another deep dive, and this time we're looking at some really interesting material.
Yes, it's from a YouTube video by Dr. Roger Paul, uploaded, I think, July 25th, 2024.
That's the one. Part 3 of his series on the universe's origin and structure. He uses these slides?
Right, the slides. And our mission, really, for this deep dive is to get beyond just the visuals.
Yeah, to pull out the core ideas.
Exactly. Understand the fundamental framework of reality he's presenting, like the universal father, this huge cosmic structure.
And where we fit in all of that.
Precisely. We're aiming for those, aha moments, trying to make these complex ideas click without getting too bogged down in every single detail.
Sounds good. So we've got excerpts from the video transcript guiding us through these visuals. Okay, let's dive in then. First big concept. This universal father encompassing everything. Tell us about that.
Well, what's really fascinating here is the idea that the father isn't just in reality or like a separate creator. The concept is that the father encompasses all of it. Everything, finite physical stuff.
Right.
But also the Urantia, that sort of bridge between physical and spiritual.
Yeah, transitional phase.
Exactly that. And then the purely spiritual, and even beyond that to absolute ultimate levels.
So if I'm getting this right, it's not just that the Father made everything, but that everything exists within the Father. Kind of like the Father is the ocean, not just the one who filled it.
That's actually a pretty good way to think about it. The transcript really stresses that nothing at any level exists independently. It's all within.
Okay.
And there's a key distinction about time. We have a location in time. We experience it unfolding.
Yeah.
But the universal Father simply is outside of time as we understand it.
Right. Okay. That sets the foundation.
Yeah.
Now, the video gets into this huge structure like a cosmic map. What are the main parts?
It lays out the schematic. Yeah. They call it the master universe, right at the dead center. Paradise.
Oh.
The eternal core.
It's paradise.
Around Paradise, you've got 21 satellites. Then, moving out, the 7 Havona circuits. And get this, each one has 1 billion worlds.
1 billion.
1 billion perfected worlds in Havona alone. Then, beyond that, the 2 dark gravity circuits.
Dark gravity.
Intriguing.
Very. Then the 7 super universes, that's us, that's our zone. And finally, 4 outer space levels, hinting there's even more out there.
The scale is just staggering.
But didn't the presenter say the diagrams, the sort of top-down view, isn't quite accurate?
Exactly right. That top-down view, it's useful, helps understand how things relate. But the actual reality is shaped more like a disc or maybe a flattened sphere. It's important for perspective.
And our location, we're in the 7th super universe, Orvonton, which he specifically says is the Milky Way galaxy.
Yes, explicitly identifies Orvonton as the Milky Way. We're way out near the edge.
Far out.
So if you could look from here towards Paradise, you'd be looking through just this immense sea of stars. Our local universe capital, Uversa, is out there too.
But there's a gap.
A big one. A significant gulf, filled with those dark space bodies separating our super universe's main hub from Paradise itself.
Okay, let's zoom back in on Paradise for a second. Those 21 satellites sound important.
They are. 3 groups of 7, 1 group for the Father, 1 for the Son, 1 for the Infinite Spirit.
And linked to specific beings.
Yeah, 2 key groups mentioned. The Master Spirits, 1 on each satellite, and the Supreme Executives who are on peripheral Paradise.
And they move. There's some kind of interaction.
A constant interplay, yes. It's tied to the circuits of the Infinite Spirit. Think of it like a balancing act.
How so?
When a Master Spirit is on its satellite, the corresponding Supreme Executive is on peripheral Paradise. If the executive travels to the satellite,
A Master Spirit moves out.
automatically shifts to peripheral Paradise. It's this constant linked movement maintaining a dynamic balance.
So these satellites are like major hubs distributing something from Paradise. And then there are 4 great circuits mentioned.
Right. 4 main circuits flowing out from Paradise, through those Master Spirits, and into all 7 super universes. Cosmic lifelines, basically.
What are they?
Okay, first, the Father's personality circuit, often shown as red. Then the Son's spiritual circuit, that's usually blue.
Got it.
Third, the Infinite Spirit's mind circuit, yellow. This one does a lot. Organizes matter, handles gravity, communication, even travel.
Wow. Okay.
And finally, the Paradise gravity circuit. It's implied by a green line going back to Paradise, and it controls physical gravity everywhere.
And each super universe, like ours, has a sort of entry point for these.
Exactly. Each one has a specific planet tied to its master spirit. These 4 circuits get channeled through that point, like a main spoke distributing them throughout that whole super universe.
Okay, origins. Where did these deities and the central universe actually come from? That's a huge question. How does the source explain it?
It explains the generation. That's the word used in a way we can sort of grasp. It says the Father and the Son together simultaneously created the infinite spirit.
Simultaneously, not one after the other.
No, a unified act. And in that exact same instant, paradise, the center, and all billion worlds of Havona also appeared. Co-emergent reality, not sequential creation like we think of it.
So the core beings and the central place just arose together. Yeah. And paradise is where the Father, Son, and Spirit dwell.
Yes, their dwelling place. And what's really key is how they connect to us through those circuits we just talked about.
Right.
The Father's personality circuit connects directly, but also there's the thought adjuster.
The thought adjuster.
Yes, described as a literal fragment of the Father, residing within each of us. A very direct personal connection.
A part of God inside us. That's profound.
Yeah.
Okay, changing gears slightly. Movement. The slides showed patterns, directions.
Yes, a very specific cosmic dance, you could say. Alternating directions. The paradise satellites, clockwise.
Okay.
The Havona circuits around them, counterclockwise. Our super universes, further out, also counterclockwise.
Counterclockwise.
But then the first outer space level reverses again clockwise. Even the dark gravity bodies have an inner belt moving clockwise. It's all in motion in specific patterns.
Wow. Okay, back to us. The Milky Way. You said the source is clear. It is Orvonton, our super universe. Addresses some debate, apparently.
Yeah, the presenter was quite direct. Some theories suggest Orvonton might be bigger, multiple galaxies. But this source says no, the Milky Way is Orvonton.
And there are other Milky Way-like galaxies out there.
Oh, yes. The first outer space level alone is said to have about 250 galaxies similar in size and structure to ours. So our super universe is vast, but just one piece.
And within Orvonton, our local universe is Nebadon. How's that structured?
Okay, Orvonton has 100 major constellations. Nebadon is ours. Each constellation, 100 systems. Each system, 1,000 planets.
Just keep scaling up.
It does. The presenter admits you can't fully grasp the numbers, but the hierarchy, the organization that we can get.
And our system capital, Jerusalem, where does that sit?
Jerusalem is the capital for the system of Setania. That system includes 1,000 inhabited planets.
1,000?
And our solar system is just one of those 1,000 within Setania. So we're effectively inside the sphere of Jerusalem.
The sheer scale. It's almost too much. The presenter mentioned this is just a fragment, right?
Yeah.
Tailored for us.
A really crucial point. The idea is the full reality, the sheer complexity would just overload us.
Makes sense.
So what's revealed is selected, designed to help our understanding, our spiritual journey. It also mentions countless types of spiritual beings.
Too many for list.
Way too many. We're mostly told about the ones directly involved in our own path, our ascension plan.
Okay. Trying to connect this to something, maybe more tangible, the presenter brought up Skinwalker Ranch. The orbs. How does that fit?
Ah, right. That was used as an analogy, really, to illustrate how different beings might interact with physical reality.
Based on their nature.
Exactly. Morontial beings in that transitional state, they can apparently penetrate matter. Spiritual beings pass right through it.
And midwayers.
They seem to operate outside the usual rules, bridging physical and spiritual limitations.
Interesting. And those weird underground structures found there, the donut patterns.
Yeah, the light scans revealed those. The hypothesis offered is that they could be like circuits, or maybe train depots for celestial beings, angels, moving to and from the planet. A potential link to the bigger picture.
A physical trace of cosmic traffic.
Yeah.
Wild. Okay, let's talk about those dark gravity bodies again.
Yeah.
They sounded really important.
Absolutely vital. They're arranged in these tubular formations with concentric circles of planets, and the scale difference is huge. The outer circuit is 10,000 times higher than the inner one.
Massive. And they do two key things.
Two main jobs, yes. First, they help transport beings like us, pilgrims of time past Havona, transport seraphim, carry us, and these bodies are like cosmic recharging stations for them on that long flight from the super universes to paradise.
Makes sense for such a long trip. And the second function?
Even more critical, perhaps. They act as guardian belts. They regulate the immense gravity pull from paradise.
To stop things collapsing.
Essentially, yes. to prevent the super universes and outer space levels from being pulled in and collapsing due to Paradise's gravity. It's also mentioned that the gravity in Havona and Paradise is different from the gravity out here.
So cosmic transport hubs and gravitational regulators. Incredible. Okay, let's bring this back to the listener. What does this massive overview mean for us, our journey?
Well, it gives us a map, doesn't it? A sense of where we are, where we fundamentally come from the Father, and where we're headed.
Towards paradise.
Towards paradise.
What?
And it emphasizes that every single world, even the billion in Havona, they're not empty. They're populated by beings playing specific roles in our ascension.
And we got a couple of specific planet names.
We did. Vinington, that's supposedly where the thought adjusters originate, that piece of the Father inside us.
Right.
And Ascendington, that's described as a major stopover point for ascending Paradise Sons, and eventually for us, just before we gain Paradise citizenship.
And the billion Havona worlds explain the timescale.
Exactly. It underscores why the journey to the Father takes so long. There's just so much to experience, to learn, traversing those perfected realms.
But there's an important milestone mentioned, closer to home, relatively speaking.
A very significant one. Meeting Christ Michael Jesus, as we know him, is presented as our first major goal after we finish the Urantia life.
Source of encouragement.
Huge encouragement. And faith, really, for tackling the next stages of the ascent.
Okay, lastly, the presentation talked about different levels or realms of reality we move through.
Right. We start finite time and space, here in the superuniverses. Then we transition through Urantial and spiritual stages, still within the superuniverse framework.
Then beyond.
Beyond is the absonite level. That includes Havona, probably the outer space levels too. It's described as transcending time-space as we know it. Beings there are more permanent.
And the ultimate goal, paradise.
Paradise is the absolute level. Timeless, spaceless. Those who make it there eventually join the core finality as absonite absolute beings. The presenter used that quirky analogy of an eternal ticket collector to hint at what existence might be like there.
An eternal ticket collector. Okay, this has been, well, mind-expanding, mapping out this cosmic structure. And you mentioned what's next for our deep dives.
Yes, the plan for the next one is to go even deeper. Focus on the Universal Father himself, the 7 absolutes, and related concepts from the core book.
Building the foundation.
Exactly. Understanding those underlying principles really helps make sense of this whole grand structure we've discussed today.
So for you listening, you've just had a tour of this incredible cosmic architecture laid out in these sources, a truly mind-boggling scale. This deep dive aimed to give you that foundational map. We really hope you'll think about your own place in all this vastness and the potential for your own journey, your ascension that's described here.
Yeah.
And maybe the most provocative thought to leave you with. Reflect on that idea that a real part of the Universal Father, the thought adjuster, is actually within you right now.
What does that imply?
What does that suggest about who you are?